Hey guys, it's Britt Dowd here with the Lawn Care Leaders Podcast. Welcome back. We are here every week to positively and intentionally impact not only your business, but your leadership, communication, and personal life. Yes, we're going to talk about mowers, fertilizer, irrigation, hardscaping, but we put an emphasis on growing you as a leader and growing your business. We do this through interviews with other small business owners, growth segments where we dive deep on a micro business topic, and documented episodes from our own seven-figure business, Green Again Lawn. All right, lawn care leaders, turn those headphones up. It's time to dive deep and get back at it. Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Lawn Care Leaders Podcast. I'm Britt Dowd, and we are up bright and early this morning. I've got somebody on the line here with my buddy, Eric Jones, turf teacher. Many of you may have seen him already on Instagram or heard him on Turfs Up Radio. Eric, why don't you give yourself a shout out and tell people who you are and what you're about?
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me here on the podcast. My name is Eric Jones, better known as turf teacher. I grew up in the green industry. I started working with my parents' company, Elite Landscape Service and Nursery, Inc., back in the day. I grew up in it. So if we weren't on the ball field, we were in somebody's yard or on a construction site installing landscape. So I was truly blessed to be a part of that. And I learned early on that that's what I wanted to do for a career. So I joined the Navy right after high school, the Navy Reserves, did that for a while. But while I was in the reserves, I went through college. I got my undergraduate in landscape architecture. And once I graduated, I continued to work for my parents. And we built up the company pretty substantially. And we decided to get into the holiday and event decorating business. We did that early on in around 1998. And we purchased a Christmas Decor franchise. And we were with the franchise system for about 10 years. And we backed away with our non-compete, got back into it. And we're in the full swing of not only running the Christmas side of the house, but doing full service landscape installation and design. And we also have a general contracting business where we build custom and speculative homes. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Back and forth between the two, but we love it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I follow you on Instagram. You're a busy man. You've got a lot of irons in the fire. So tell us, it's interesting, if you don't mind spending a couple more minutes on the franchise, what did you call it? Like the holiday decorating. I mean, what was the name of the franchise? Do you mind saying?
It was Christmas Decor. They were the first ones to get into the holiday decorating. Blake Smith, the president and CEO, started that, I think late 80s, early 90s, somewhere in that time frame. And they had been selling franchises for a while, and we investigated it, and we wanted to get into the decorating business. And so, the easiest way back then, because there was no Instagram or YouTube or anything to actually learn from other people. Yeah. So we purchased the franchise, and we learned a lot from them. I mean, we couldn't have got started without doing with the franchise. So
that's cool. Yeah, that's really, really interesting. Well, I've already told the people a little bit about my story with holiday decorating, my personal Christmas lights at my house. So I really want to center this entire podcast around your advice on it, what you've learned. I don't even know which way you want to take this. I don't care, but it's a skill, it's an art form. And I think it's just one of those fringe services that people don't usually get into for whatever reason. So I want, if you could just picture all the lawn mowing guys out there, how do they take that, maybe start there? How do they take that next step and get into it? And then any information on pricing, products, margins, your highs and lows with it. Just help that guy out there that wants to get into it.
Well, first of all, you need a market, and being in the green industry, having a lawn care business or a mowing service, you've already got a customer base. Yep. I would start there, send them out a letter saying, hey, we are now offering Christmas light services. If you're interested, we'd like to give you a quote. Pricing is the hardest thing. It really is. And next from that is, where do I buy these materials? Yeah. It's, we've learned from not only from the franchise system, but being in the business for 21 years, that there's some good vendors and there's bad vendors, just like there is in the green industry.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to be able to find that product and have that product delivered quickly.
Yeah.
The big box stores is not where you want to purchase your materials. It's not saying that they're bad quality. It's just they're designed for the homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
You can't custom fit the lights that you purchase at one of the stores. Our C9 bulbs and the cords that we put them in are custom fit. So if we've got a roof line that's 30 feet across, it's 30 feet of light. Oh. It's not having to ball up lights at the end and tuck them in the gutter or anything like that.
Yeah.
We can custom fit it.
That's cool.
And it's those little tools and those little items that allow us to do that. Cutting that C9 cord at the end and putting a blackout cap.
Yep.
Or being able to add a male plug at the end or a female plug and custom fit, the gutter line going the opposite direction.
Yep.
It's just tricks that we've learned being on the job site.
It's cool, though. That's cool. I think that alone can help some people. Well, let's back up here. So you said don't go to the big box stores. You got to make sure you order your inventory ahead of time. I'm picturing myself. I've got 40 mowing accounts.
Yes.
When would you, Eric, start selling those jobs and close them down so that you can order? Am I selling these in late August, mid-September? Give me the time frame, and then once I sell them, what's the lag time on when I usually get my product?
You want to order your product early. A lot of the vendors will have what they call Christmas in July, where you can order it, a little bit of a discount, kind of like ordering your, fertilizer, for the year in advance. So you'd want to contact your customers early on, at least when you're sending them invoices.
Yeah.
Go ahead and say, hey, we're going to be offering holiday services, this season. So they're kind of getting it fresh on their mind, and then just kind of poll your customers and see what you'd need. But I wouldn't order too much stuff up front if it's your first season. Mm-hmm. I would order, maybe enough to do 3 or 4 roof lines and mini lights. Mini lights and roof lines is going to be your number one sellers. People want the dogwood tree, the crepe myrtle, or any ornamental tree in their yard. They want the branch wrap mini lights on that. And then they want a roof line with C9 bulbs.
Okay.
And I would go LED if at all possible. We still have customers that love the incandescent lights, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the LEDs sometimes will get too bright, especially the more lights you have, it is going to get super bright. One of our competitors here in the neighborhood that we're hot and heavy in, I mean, you could probably see it from space. I mean, it was the Chevy Chase house, awesome. from National Lampoons. I mean, they lit everything possible, and they did it with LEDs. Plus, it was a painted white brick house, so all that light was reflecting off of it. So it was
to the world.
Yes,
that's awesome. Well, this is good info, Eric. Okay, so order way ahead. Christmas in July. Give us some vendors that might be in people's areas. Like, am I going to site one? Where am I going? Do you have any people that you need to shout out to?
Yeah, a lot. A lot of the stores that we do buy our landscape equipment and materials from will have some Christmas products. Okay. But the easiest thing to do is just to go online. Okay. And if you search for this material, it's going to pop up. Mm-hmm. And we've even had to order stuff from Amazon. But we've got vendors, and some of our vendors don't even advertise on the internet. They don't even have a website. They give us a toll-free number that we call, and it's, hey, we'll have a truck there next week.
Yep.
But, even the vendors that we're using this year, we're running out of supplies because the COVID.
Yeah.
You know how, landscapers started booming after the first initial couple weeks of COVID. People started staying home. They started spending money on their houses.
Yep.
Well, people are still home the holiday season.
Yep.
So they're lighting it up.
Yeah. And everybody wants to, plus it's a happy time of year. You're home. You've got the extra time. I'm sure mama's like, dude, get out there and do some Christmas lights. You haven't done anything all year. So, okay, so you've given us some good info there. This may be a dumb question, but I would want to know it personally. So I'm going to ask it for my audience. But let's say, again, I've got 40 clients. I order some inventory and I want to maybe be like 1 or 2 houses ahead just in case. But I end up
Mhm.
with some extra inventory. Will going through a vendor, so sourcing through a vendor instead of a website, would that allow me the opportunity to send that back just like you would like a bag of fertilizer? Like you don't use it, we can bring it back as long as it's not damaged.
We've never ran into that
Okay.
issue. We've never had to return anything. We've always kept it for the next year because we know we're going to sell it.
Okay.
But we'll order in smaller batches so that way we're not stuck with a bunch of inventory.
Okay.
And setting down at the beginning of the year, and your first year is going to be your hardest,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to sell. You'll probably sell everything that you did order. So
Yeah.
if you ordered enough for 2 or 3, maybe 4 roof line jobs, and then a couple of cases of mini lights, you're going to go through that. So you're not going to have to worry about really hanging on to much inventory over it. And the good thing about it, people know if they know you're doing it, they may call you in March and say, "Hey, it's my daughter's birthday. She's
Yeah.
wanting to have an outside party. Can you come and light a dogwood tree on our back patio?"
Mm.
So you'd want to have some extra kind of hungover.
So you could market that and upsell that throughout the year. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do they do with these lights when they're done? Are the clients hanging on to them? Do you hang on to them? What does that look like?
We provide a service, so we're not really selling them a product. The lights
Okay.
remain ours, even though we do custom fit it for
That's
the client.
beautiful. So you get an ROI on that every year.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yes.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's the same price each year. We've tried it both ways, where we'd sell them the product and then try to give them a discount to put it back up. But here's the thing: you're going to have issues with them, especially if you're using incandescents. You're going to have a C9 bulb go out, so you've got to get that premium price when they call you back for a service call.
Mm.
And if you're providing them a service and everything is included, you've got that service call built in.
Okay.
But if you're installing the lights, their lights, and then a bulb goes out, and then you tell them, "Hey, well, you own the lights. That's your problem. They burned out. We're going to have to charge you a service call." It just really upsets people. So we include everything. It's a turnkey price for install, takedown, and we'll even store a lot of the lights for people.
That's nice. That's nice.
So,
Really, really convenient for the homeowner. And okay, so let me get to this then. What about pricing? So you said most people want the roof line, the peaks, ornamentals in the front yard. We're talking a 3-car garage home, your standard cookie cutter lawn. What
yeah,
Give us some sort of reference for price.
it's any roof line is going to be anywhere from probably $900 to $1,200,
Mm-hmm.
just depending on the size, and it depends on the height.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to cost more if it's a higher, if it's we do some 3-story homes
Yeah.
that we have to charge more for.
Yeah.
And luckily, we've invested in a lift
Okay.
that actually helps us do it.
Yep.
And we're not having to get on the roof as many. Now, some roofs we still have to climb.
Yeah.
We still have to rope off, just depending, because we've got steep yards. We can't
Yeah.
get that lift right there. So,
Mm.
and anytime you're climbing or anytime you're having to rope off, you need to get a premium because your insurance rates are going to go up.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to advertise it. You're gonna post pictures on Facebook and Instagram,
Yep.
and guess
Yep.
who else is watching? Your workers' comp company. So
Exactly. Exactly. No, man. So you guys have been on the roof now doing this how many years?
21 years. This is our 21st
21
season.
years. You've had to, dude, in my story on the intro, I got on my roof once and thought I was about to die. Do you have any crazy stories or any learning lessons? Scare the donkey out of these guys so they're safe.
Dude, I'm not your roof guy. I'm gonna be your ground guy. I'm gonna be the ones doing the 6 or 7 foot dogwood out front.
Yeah.
I do highly recommend maybe advertising for a roofer, somebody that's got roofing experience. These are the guys that's helped us.
Well,
And even
give
if you
us a
use them,
story. Give us a story, Eric. You got to give us one good story.
I was on a roof one time, and I literally froze up. I mean, sometimes you have to calm down and just kind of imagine yourself somewhere else before you get brave enough to move to the ladder to get down.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
my dad thought they was gonna have to call the fire department and come and get me down.
We
But
got a cat on a roof. No, like literally, we got this dude on a roof.
yes. Oh, and it's all based on literally the clothing that you wear. Tennis shoes are the best. A pair of blue jeans that are going to kind of help you stick. A lot of the guys will make the problem of or make it an issue. They like wearing the cowboy boots to work, and you
boy.
can't get on a roof with that. So
No.
you got to be prepared. And I understand, they're wearing the nice Justin waterproof boots and stuff, but they got slick bottoms. You need something that's going to grip that roof. And if you take like an old cushion, out of a couch, that's perfect. That gives enough grip that you can actually kind of sit on it. But you do got to rope off. You've got to do that.
Yeah. All right. So let me take this a different direction now. What about me? So we have a good client base, but let's say I don't want to. I want the extra revenue, but I don't specifically want my guys doing Christmas lights. How would I go about maybe a subcontract situation?
Yeah, I guess you could, if you know anybody in the area that's doing it, you could actually have contact them and say, look, hey, we've got some clients that want it.
Yep.
Would love to meet you there on site and, give us a price. You'd want to be the one in charge. You'd want to act as I'd say the general contractor on that. So you'd be the one giving the price to the customer and then having them do it.
Okay.
The only problem I see with that is there's such a short season for installing lights. They're going to take care of their customers first.
Yeah.
So you'd want to get a guarantee from them. Hey, what date are you going to be there?
Okay. No, that's a good point. What other tips can you give somebody that is wanting to get into this?
Be patient. It's going to be frustrating work. It's going to be cold. We don't get too cold here, but we've had a hard winter so far. We've had some highs in the mid 30s, and when you're twisting bulbs into C9 sockets, the fingers get numb, and it's very tiring. Carrying ladders, carrying the equipment needed for it to and from. You're going to walk a lot because you're not going to have the stuff in your apron. I like wearing like a nail apron and actually having some of the add-on sockets, the male and female plugs.
Yep.
You need a good pair of wire cutters and just some tools like that in your apron, so you don't have to walk to the truck so many times.
No, that's a good pro tip. Wear the little Home Depot nail apron. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's also do this for guys. I want to go get started tomorrow. Give us the laundry list of things that they're going to have to go purchase so that they can just start to offer this service.
If I was going to get into it right now tomorrow, I wouldn't worry so much about the roof lines. I would focus on doing the trees. We're in the green industry, so market it as, hey, we can light up your trees out front, your shrubs. That way, if you needed to go and get product, you could go to the big box stores and get some of their their mini lights.
Okay.
That's the one thing I would purchase from them if I had to get started. But I want to buy my lights already in poly bags, by the case that we can just pull right out and start wrapping immediately. It's a little more prep work with the products you buy from the big box stores.
What about equipment needed, safety equipment, anything else like that?
You'd need, if you're doing the roof lines, you definitely need a harness, full body harness. You'd need the rope. You'd probably need a way to tie it off, whether it's on the chimney or, something on the ground, either to your vehicle or what. You also need, the 6-foot step ladder, the larger step ladders. You need a 24-foot extension ladder, a 36 one to get some of those tall peaks if you're going to just do it with ladders. And it typically works good with a 3-man crew. You
Okay.
got one guy that's doing the roof. You got one guy that's doing the trees,
Okay.
and then you got what we call a ground guy who's running product back and forth. To the guy up there. He can throw it up to the guy that's on the ladder, or he can bring stuff needed to the guy lighting the trees. So 3-man crews work perfect.
And this is good info. This is good info. What's crazy, Eric, is I know you've been doing this a long time now, and so as you're talking about this, it's just like it's almost just common sense. It's almost stupid that you have to bring it up, but I know it's helping a lot of our listeners. So you probably feel like you're talking at a level 2 or a 3, but to our listeners, you're adding a lot of value. What about the timeline? So you've told us when we need to start selling it. We need to be ahead on product ordering.
Mm-hmm.
When are you actually out there servicing the client? What's your time frame, and when do people usually want you to be done, or what's your goal for that? And then when do you need to think about going out and getting all your inventory and bringing it back in house?
Okay. We start installing lights in October.
Okay.
Just because the amount of work that we have.
Okay.
Because nobody's really going to think about Christmas until Thanksgiving. So we have to convince.
My wife.
Is she before?
Oh yeah, she takes that Halloween costume off, kids' Halloween costume off. It's like, let's get out the Christmas decor.
Yeah. And that's the way I am here. You got to talk to your customers and say, hey, give them a small percentage off if you can go ahead and get it installed early. They don't have to burn it.
Yeah.
They can just have the lights up. So a lot of our stuff, like roof lines and trees, we'll go ahead and do, but we'll go back at Thanksgiving and put up their greenery, like if they've got garland or wreaths or anything like that. Because, dude, the week of Thanksgiving, the phone's going to ring off the hook.
Yeah.
And then the Friday after Thanksgiving is like the busiest time. You need somebody full-time answering phones. Hey, when can you come out and give a quote? And you've got about 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, and then it just completely stops because people aren't going to spend the money if they can't enjoy the lights.
Yeah. Yeah. For that whole period of time. That makes sense. Any efficiencies that you've built in, or any quick tips you can give? Are you giving quotes over the phone? Are you looking it up online? How have you guys sped up that process so you don't miss out on business?
Well, yesterday I had somebody send me a picture via Instagram. They went outside and took their phone, took a picture of the house, and DM'd it to me via Instagram.
Nice.
I then emailed it to myself so I could print it out on paper. And after doing this for so many years, how long a peak is.
Yeah.
I mean, the peaks are the same on different houses. I mean, the builders just build certain length peaks. And so we're sitting there looking at it, and based on everything else, we're like, okay, that's a roof line that's 10 up, 10 down, 15 over. We're kind of estimating it. And I'll be honest with you, priced it a little bit higher than normal because the client was about an hour away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I DM'd him back. I said, we can do it for this price. And he's like, okay, when can you do it? And I'm like, okay. So,
nice.
I didn't have to go and estimate the job. They sent me the picture.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's an hour away. You increase the price, and you always kind of give that little buffer when you're doing something like that over the phone too. Just in case I mismeasured a little bit, or that's good. That's good. Trying to think what other ways can add value to our listeners. I guess, do you have any other fun stories or anything like that before we get into some more technical stuff? Like, has anybody what's the weirdest thing somebody's asked you to light up? You gotta tell whatever just popped in your head. You've got to tell that story.
We've had this one customer who's been with us. It seems like the 20 years that we've been in it. But she has this yard art stuff. I mean, it's all kinds of displays and stuff. And we might as well just plan on being there half a day. We can't really quote because it's something different every single year. And she's a sweetheart, but it's like, I want to change this. I want to change that. Or let's do this. So we get there and we're just like, oh my gosh, we really need to be on doing some roof lines that we're making some real money at. But, we're stuck here. So,
we've all
one
got
other
that
tip.
Client. We've all got that. All got that little Dottie that we want to take care of, and you're still charging her, but man, she takes every freaking sweet minute you got.
Yes. But the one thing I do want to stress to your listeners, do not install customer-owned lights.
Mm.
You'll spend more time getting them to work, trying to, string them out and wiggle the bulbs, find out which bulb that's causing the whole strand to go out.
Yep.
So it's best just to do new. That way, we're going back with our lights every single year. I mean, if we have a set of mini lights that's out, man, we chuck them. We don't even
swap them. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't even worry about charging them for an extra set of lights or anything like that. That just makes people, it makes them a little uneasy. They want to know exactly what it's going to cost.
Yep.
And we've built that into our pricing. So,
Yep. And speed, it seems like speed and efficiency is everything. I mean, you have such a short window. It's just like everything else in the green industry. You've got a spring rush, you got a fall seeding rush, except for this one is just super heightened because it's just Thanksgiving to Christmas, and you got to get it all done so that they can enjoy it. That's really cool. That's really cool. It also seems like maybe the overarching theme for our listeners is you're providing a service. So make sure you're always viewing it as a service to the client. It's not like you're providing a product, you're providing a holiday service. And any tips around selling that you can help. This is the Lawn Care Leaders podcast, so I want to get into some leadership stuff like selling, maybe profit margins. But how do you structure your brand, your sales pitch, so that the client does know, hey, this is a service. We may be a little different than other people, and this is how it works.
Well, when we get the phone call, we tell them, yes, we'll set up the appointment to come and do the quote. But we tell them right up front, it's our product. We're not going to install your lights. And I think the biggest selling tool, if it's a big job, and I'm talking, maybe 300 foot on a roof line, I'll actually go and take pictures. And I've even also downloaded from Google Earth the front of their house, where the car drives by and then takes the pictures. And I'll use Pro Landscape with their lighting theme, and I can add the C9 bulbs to the roof line.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I'll take that with me, and basically I can also price it from Google Earth if it's a good, crisp, clean picture. But a lot of people, especially here, we've got a ton of trees. It's kind of hard to see the entire house. But I'll go there, and if I don't have a chance to use Pro Landscape with that, I'll take a picture, and with my iPad in the iPencil, I will draw on the picture, and I'm showing the client exactly where we're going to light, how many feet it is, and just present it to them that way. I can type up the quote there in QuickBooks and email it to them right on site. But I'll tell them up front, hey, this roof line is going to be X amount of dollars. And if they're like, okay, that's good, when can you start? I go back to the truck and email that quote to them immediately.
Okay. Awesome.
But if somebody tells me no, I'm not even going to spend the time of entering them in QuickBooks and having them in there. So
and after that verbal quote, you kind of have a feel for if you're gonna be doing it or not.
Yes.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Do you mind sharing some profit margins on? You kind of gave the range for 900 to 1,200 for that standard postage stamp lawn, your stereotypical house. What are you looking at usually for profit margins?
You're going to be around probably 50%.
Okay.
Especially the second and third year. It's going to take the first time you do a house, it's always going to take you longer because you're custom fitting. You're actually cutting the lines per peak and all of that. It's the next year you make your biggest bucks.
Because you're saving that person's stuff and literally putting their name on it at your shop, and then just taking it and putting it right back up. Are you doing little earmarks for this goes over peak 1, this is drip line 1, whatever?
Yes. And again, I'll take that iPad picture and I'll take a picture of it, and then I'll write like A. A would be like the left side peak, and then it kind of follows the alphabet, A to B to C to D. So we've got a digital map marked with the letters, and then on the back of the shingle tabs that we're hanging up, we'll write a big A. Okay. Or if we're using gutter clips, we'll take a piece of duct tape and write the letter A. Yeah. And so that way, when we go back next year, we're pulling it out of their box, plug it up, make sure everything's burning, change bulbs or whatever before we need to get on the roof. And then it's a matter of just hanging it. So, yesterday we did a house in 15 minutes, because everything was prepped the year before. But it took us, about an hour and a half the previous year. So when you get there and you're on point and your guys have done it the previous year, that's where you make your money.
Man,
you're saving that labor.
Guys, that's huge to our listeners. Like, that is amazing. If he's saying second year margins are 50%, guess what? Even if it takes you a lot longer, if you're half wrong, 25% margins your first year getting into it, well, all the upfront costs are still not bad. And it's with your existing client base. Man, Eric, that's awesome. That's really cool. I know we've been chatting here a while, so I want to respect your time. We've already been chatting quite a bit on your radio show. I want to give you an opportunity to plug what you're doing, where people can find you, interact with you. If they've got more Christmas light information they want to drum up from you, where can they reach you?
I'm on all the social media sites at Turf Teacher, YouTube, Instagram. Daily, I'm on Instagram, and we're always posting either post or some stories about the Christmas lighting. We also offer through Turf Teacher Incorporated continuing education classes for pesticide credits, landscape contractor credits, irrigation contractor credits, and even general contractor credits. So I do a lot of consulting, a lot of teaching, especially on the technical side. And the one thing that we are working on right now is a Christmas coaching class where we are going to, for one day, either visit your facilities and teach your guys, or we're going to be traveling around the country doing these seminars on how to install Christmas lights.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, make sure you keep our listeners in touch whenever you start that. I'm sure a lot of people will be hitting you up for that. So that's really cool. Let me ask you this on the continuing ed, is that nationwide or is that to your particular state alone? How does that look?
We're primarily in North Carolina, but with our pesticides, we're in Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and I'm almost locked down Texas. So I'm hoping that I can get into Texas with the pesticides, because huge number of applicators in that state. It just takes a while to get approved by the states to teach the Con Ed. You got to submit courses to them. You can submit. It's kind of like applying for a state license. They want to see that you're legit. So
that's cool. That's cool though. That's a big value add to our listeners. So if you're in those states, you need the pest recertification, make sure you hit Turf Teacher up. But man, I appreciate you coming on, adding value to our audience, sharing some Christmas light information.
Well, man, I appreciate you having me, man, and loved having you on the radio show this morning. That was awesome.
That was fun. It was my pleasure. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Merry Christmas.
You guys keep at it.
All right. Thanks, Britt. Take care, man. Bye.
Hey guys, that is a wrap on yet another episode of the Lawn Care Leaders Podcast. Thanks again for letting us hang out with you, and we appreciate you hanging out with us. Please subscribe, leave us a rating and review. And if you found this at all helpful, please help us by sharing the podcast. And we wish that you would continue this conversation. If you want to chat it up about some topic that happened, or maybe you have further questions, you can find us over on Instagram, Facebook. We're going to be posting YouTube and LinkedIn content as well. So you can find us on almost any platform. And if you'd like to further grow your business or find out more information about Intentional Growth Advisors or one of our other show sponsors, feel free to click the link in the show notes and you can see those there. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back with you again shortly.